Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and what I have for you today is the Mivi soundbar. This is the Fort H880. It is a soundbar priced at 16,000 rupees that comes with two subwoofers and two rear satellite speakers. And when I was doing my research for this video, I found that there are a lot of soundbars that you can get all the way from 10,000 rupees to the Nakamichi Dragon, which I think is the benchmark for a soundbar with two subwoofers. But in the 15,000 rupee price point, there are a lot of soundbars that come with two subwoofers. And up till now, I think when I was reviewing soundbars, I was looking at it from a slightly biased lens from my own perspective, which is, a soundbar should have X type of sound output with Y bass and this type of clarity. And then when I spoke to a lot of people, I realized that different people have different expectations from soundbars. And audio is also so subjective that what I might like is something that you may not appreciate. So keeping these thought processes in mind, I'm going to kind of try to give you as broad an overview as possible of not only this soundbar, but the soundbar category as a whole, right? As to what people can expect and what you can do. So if you are on a budget for about 15,000 rupees, the likes of Sony, for example, you just have the Sony HT-S20R, which is, I think, a budget soundbar. That is a 5.1 soundbar, but everything connects to the subwoofer. Even the rear satellite speakers connect to the subwoofer, and you have to do a lot of wiring in your house. Similarly, you can get a Samsung soundbar, which is for about 16,000 rupees, which is a 3.1 soundbar, but you don't get the rear speakers. Out here, what the Mivi is trying to fulfill at this price point is give you two subwoofers, which means a lot of bass and a surround experience. Considering this is a budget soundbar, a lot of people are going to have expectations that the surrounds and the bass should be operational at almost all times. Now, this is where I think the budget soundbars distinguish themselves from the more premium soundbars. Let's say if you go with, let's say, the Samsung Q990D, which is like their flagship soundbar, even if you experience this in, let's say, a demo room, you will realize that the surround speakers only kick in when they're meant to. So if you have one of those 5.1 or Dolby Atmos demos where the sound is going to go all around you, consciously you will notice that the surround speakers or the height speakers in any soundbar or home theater only kick in when they are meant to. But on budget soundbars like the Sony HT-S20R, which I have reviewed, I'm going to link to that in the description below, or this Mivi that I'm currently reviewing, or even the Sony HT-S40R, which is also a 5.1, the surround speakers kind of are almost always active along with the front, left and right? So the kind of expectation from the soundbar is that the surround speakers are going to be active for most of your use case. Now, if this is a good thing or a bad thing, it really depends on your taste. However, before we get into the details of the performance, let me give you a demo. So I played some games on my PlayStation and Xbox, and of course some copyright-free music that you guys can hear. Can't show you any movie audio for copyright reasons, of course, but take a listen to the sound demo and then come back and we'll talk about the performance.
So far, crossed an ocean, left one world and found another. All the blood, all the fire, everything she's seen carried on a hidden tide.
Okay, so speaking of the performance, first of all, this is not a Dolby Atmos soundbar, which is fine. I've always maintained that at a lower price point, a soundbar manufacturer can reduce the features and increase the quality of sound output, and that would be a good thing. So let's get the worst thing about the soundbar out of the way first. When you switch it on, it has the most annoying power on sound and source sound I have ever heard. And when you switch it off, it has this really annoying power off. And for some reason, this announcement of power on and power off happens at full volume. So my entire house knew I was switching on the soundbar, even if I was consuming content on it at a lower volume. There is no way to switch it off. I have pressed every button on this remote control to try to switch it off, and it didn't happen. So that is the most annoying thing on the soundbar for me. At a lower sound, when you're watching, let's say, a movie and you want to keep the volume low because there are other people in the house or you don't want to disturb someone that's sleeping in the other room, the soundbar does lack a bit of bass in my opinion, but everything kicks in when you increase the volume to about, let's say, 40 or 50%. It has a music preset, movie preset, sports preset, news preset, a lot of presets on the remote control, but I found pressing the reset EQ button on the remote control, putting the center channel at full volume, the surround channels at full volume, and controlling the bass and treble bass based on the type of content that I was consuming, it gave me a very decent output. Now, it isn't the most neutral sounding soundbar. The bass is slightly elevated and the surrounds are always active. Let's take Hellblade as an example, because that's a game that has really good surround sound mastering, right? If you're playing it with headphones, you can actually feel the sound going around you. Out here, when the sound was supposed to come from the left, it was coming from both the left front and the left surround. Same for the right, it was coming from the right front channel as well as the right surround, and it didn't actually have the kind of movement you'd expect, right? So let's take a movie like Top Gun Maverick or the race at the 11-minute mark in Ready Player One, right? So in Ready Player One, when the characters are crashing through each other and all the coins are flying all over the place at a higher volume, the bass really kicks in. Whether it's worthy of 2 subwoofers or not is very subjective, but the bass does kick in well. But the fact that the coins flying around or the cars moving around or all the action doesn't translate from the front to the side, right? I can hear it from both the speakers on either side where it is supposed to be. So if it's supposed to be the front right and then moving to the front surround right, the sound came from both of them. That movement was missing, something that you will find in a lot of higher end soundbars. And I'm talking about soundbars that go above 40,000 rupees is where you are going to find this. Out here, the channels were active at the same time. Even if you open YouTube and play a 5.1 or a Dolby Atmos demo, when the surround channel is supposed to play the sound, the front, left and right also play it. Again, this is not a con, this is just what your expectation from the soundbar is. So if you're someone that expects the soundbar to have that movement of all around you, it's not going to be there. It's going to be always on everywhere. So when it comes to movies, even putting up the center channel sound to its fullest ensured that the dialogue clarity was there. So I don't think there was any movie that I saw on the soundbar where the dialogue clarity was not good. The sound mastering, sometimes the bass may have been higher, the treble may have been higher, sometimes the conversation and the mixing of the music wasn't the best, but it was all very noticeable. It was all very budget, so to speak, and that's what you're getting for this price point. And if sound clarity, sound neutrality is something that's more important for you, I think you're going to have to forego the second subwoofer and the surround speakers and maybe get a simple 3.1 or a 2.1 soundbar at this price point. You have the JBL Bar 2.1, for example, at approximately a very similar price, 16, 17, 18,000 rupees, which gives slightly more neutral sound, but it has a slightly bass bias as well over there. Again, I think that's because the Indian audience really just does prefer more bass when they are consuming content. So it's subjective. When it comes to gaming, I played a lot of games on the soundbar. I played the likes of Astrobot, which has such great mixed sound. It was quite immersive. All the clinks and the clanks of Astrobot, and even a lot of the environmental sound, the punches you give, the music in the background, it was very well mixed. Even Gran Turismo, for example, the racing game where you have the music rally mode, the music had the right amount of thump to it and you really enjoyed the movement of the cars. The one game where I had a little bit of a problem with the soundbar was Spider-Man, because every time I shot the web, I felt like there was a lag. Now, yes, there is a lag when gaming, but it's not something that's so noticeable. Your kind of brain adjusts to it with the soundbar. But with Spider-Man 2, every time I shot a web, it felt like it was just that delayed. It could also be that the controller's sound, because the DualSense on the PlayStation does have a bit of a sync. So when the shot was fired from the web, the swish from the controller came a couple of, like half a second before it came from the speaker. That's how I knew that the lag was there more than anything else, right? So these are just some things to keep in mind in case you are gaming single player games, a lot of fun. Multiplayer games, you may want to refrain from using the soundbar. For music, it got the job done quite well. I have no real complaints out here other than the fact that it's not exactly a bar meant for music. There is a music mode, but that kind of just elevated the bass a little more, and I just went back to pressing the reset EQ and doing the settings that I previously said. So overall, this bar is okay for the price point. It's a foot in the door for a multi-channel setup for someone that is probably looking for it. Let's talk about the design and connectivity. When it comes to the design, the bar is slightly thick. It has some physical buttons on the side. It'll fit perfectly between 50-inch TV all the way to about a 65-inch TV should do the job right. The two subwoofers connect to each other via a cable, but they do not connect to the soundbar with a cable, which is great. So you can place them wherever you want so long as the cable can connect the two subwoofers. Same for the surround satellite speakers. You can connect both of them with a single wire and one of them connects to the power source. I would recommend keeping the surround speakers at ear height about 1 arm's distance away. Of course, my arms are going out of this frame, but 1 arm's distance away, slightly behind you facing your ear, right? That would give you the perfect surround experience at ear height, arm's length away, kind of facing you, something like this, but a little bit behind you facing your ear. So that is the positioning I would recommend if you can do it for the best immersive experience. And the fact that the wire is just connecting the two surround speakers, connects wirelessly to the soundbar, makes placement really, really convenient. Coming to the connectivity options, it has everything from coaxial to optical, HDMI and 3.5mm, and you do get a couple of cables, including an HDMI cable in the box and an aux cable in the box, which is great. No optical cable in the box, but an HDMI cable is great for the ARC connectivity. Throughout all my testing, I just used HDMI ARC connected to the TV. Last but not least is the remote control. It has a pair button out here in case everything doesn't just pair on its own once you power it on. And I think the setup of the soundbar was one of the easiest I have ever done. Mivi has its own how to set up video, which is a great video. I'm going to link that in the description as well, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. The remote control is simple. It's plastic. It's fine. It gets the job done well. It has all the possible controls that you would need, which is nice. A great addition to a budget soundbar is this display button right here, which basically means that the display on top of the soundbar, I can dim it to a really low level, so that when I'm watching a movie right in the night, I do not have this glowing display on my soundbar, for those of you that like to turn off all the lights when watching a movie. So overall, who is this soundbar for? This soundbar is for those that do not want the most neutral, most accurate sound and want the extra thump of two subwoofers. They want the double bass. They want the extra surround speakers. They want the surround speakers to be active for most of their content consumption, even if they're not meant to be, because that's the budget audience, right? Every time I have spoken to people that have invested in budget soundbars, they've always said, why is the surround speaker only active when some things happen? They want it to be active a lot more. There is that audience, and for them this is the right soundbar because it has all the drivers active at all possible times. The soundbar has 3 2.25-inch drivers. The surround speakers have 1 2.25-inch driver each, and the subwoofer is 2 8-inch subwoofer. So that's a pretty decent amount of power packed in. Who is this not for? This is not for someone who is looking for more accurate sound, who is looking for a more immersive experience when it comes to the quality of the sound output being better. For that, I think you'll have to increase your budget by about 5,000 rupees, because in all my research, I couldn't find a soundbar priced squarely at 15,000 rupees. There is the JBL Bar 2.1, which is at about 19,000 rupees. The only other soundbar at about 15k is 16,000 rupees is the Sony HT-S20R, which is for 16,000 rupees, and that's a really old soundbar from Sony. They haven't updated it for like eons. Everything else, if you want a good soundbar, you have to spend upwards of 19,000 rupees, come close to the 20,000 rupee price point. And there also you're getting a 2.1 or a 3.1. There is just one Samsung bar that I'm going to link in the description, which is priced about 17,000 rupees, which is a 3.1. Again, you miss out on the rare speakers and you don't have a second subwoofer. So yes, if size over substance is more important for you, so to speak, then the Mivi makes a lot of sense. But if substance is more important, you are going to have to up your budget above 16,000 rupees just by 2-3,000 rupees more. If you can extend it to 18, 19, 20,000 rupees, even during the sale season in India, I'm sure you can get a better option. If you want to know what those options are, you can hit me up in the comment section and I will do my best to answer all your queries. As for this review, this is me, Samir, signing off. I'll leave you with some more of the demos of the sound samples that I took in case you guys want to listen to it. We can chat in the comment section, but it's a goodbye for now.